Can just a few hundred beavers, tree-chewing, tail-slapping engineers revive dried-up rivers, scorched forests, and cracked plains in Washington? They were released into a lifeless landscape. No trees, no free-flowing water, extinct salmon, and farmers struggling over every drop. Yet within years, satellites recorded groundwater returning, wildfires dropping by 40%, and sockeye salmon surging back. How did these small rodents pull off such a transformation? Let's uncover their secret.
Dead land across the U.S. America is drying up, and fast. For years, heat, drought, and wildfires have been relentlessly reshaping the West. Rivers run low, salmon eggs boil in unnaturally warm water, and nearly 70% of riparian forests have burned, stripping the land of shade and protection. When rain finally falls, it slides off scorched, hardened soil, carrying ash, mud, branches, and even fish eggs in destructive black flows. In the Yakima River, up to 70% of the water now comes from recycled wastewater laced with chemicals and fueling toxic algae under the relentless summer sun. This is not just a natural disaster, it is a climate emergency. For decades, droughts were blamed on low rainfall while evaporation from heat played only a minor role. Today, rising temperatures caused by fossil fuel emissions have made evaporation the dominant driver of drought. The West's historically and newly drought-prone areas are now far more vulnerable, with 2/3 of the land capable of drying out from heat alone, compared to just a quarter before 2000. Heat traps water in the atmosphere, preventing it from condensing and falling as rain. The result is a vicious cycle. The warmer it gets, the drier the land becomes. Between 2020 and 2022, evaporation alone accounted for 61% of drought severity, while reduced rainfall contributed only 39%. Even normal rain is no longer enough to prevent severe droughts. Many solutions were proposed, but each came with major drawbacks. Building water storage reservoirs costs anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million per unit and disrupts natural landscapes. Installing long-distance pipelines for major rivers encountered legal conflicts, environmental restrictions, and significant construction challenges. Some groups experimented with artificial dam models in Utah and Oregon. Yet a 2017 University of Idaho study revealed that these structures were easily damaged by heavy rain, required constant upkeep, and failed to replicate the complex ecological benefits that real beavers provide. Then, a bold idea emerged, one that seemed almost too simple to take seriously. Let beavers return and do what they do best. It sounded unconventional, even risky, but for the first time in years, farmers, scientists, and conservationists found themselves agreeing on the same solution.
The Methau and Yakima miracle. People began to believe that a small animal could succeed where modern engineering had failed, remembering what once happened in the Methau and Yakima regions. Long before the valleys dried out, thousands of beaver dams shaped the landscape. Each structure stored water, slowed the flow, trapped sediment, cooled streams, and kept entire wetlands alive. When beavers were hunted nearly to extinction, those natural water systems disappeared, and the rivers soon followed. Channels dried out, habitats collapsed, and the American Fisheries Society warned that losing beaver dams meant losing one of the West's most crucial wetland networks. Human intervention only deepened the damage. Rivers were straightened, lined with concrete, and forced into fast-moving channels designed to send water downstream as quickly as possible. In winter, these engineered systems created sudden flash floods, and in summer, they left streams completely dry. It became clear that no structure built by people could match what beavers had refined through millions of years of evolution. In 2005, a different strategy finally emerged. The Methau Beaver Project became one of the most forward-thinking ecological restoration efforts in the country. Beavers that caused problems in cities or farmlands were captured safely, examined by veterinarians, fitted with GPS chips, given names, and transported by specialized trucks to the Methau and Yakima Highlands, the landscape their ancestors once shaped. During some releases, local Native American communities, including the Colville tribe, performed sage smoke ceremonies to welcome the animals home. The cost and the results astonished everyone. Relocating and monitoring a pair of beavers costs between $2,000 and $3,000, nearly 20 times cheaper than building an artificial dam. By 2021, the Methau watershed alone had reintroduced more than 240 beavers to over 50 sites, with 64% successfully establishing new territories. At first, expectations were modest. People hoped the beavers might build a few small dams, slow the water, and nibble down overgrown brush. Instead, the landscape responded with surprising speed. Within a few seasons, the beavers built their first dams, simple 2 to 3 foot structures that spread water across the valleys, created ponds, and restored moisture to the soil. Each dam worked like a natural smart valve. Instead of letting spring snowmelt rush to the ocean in a few days, the dams held back the water, extending the flow for weeks or even months. Underground channels carried moisture hundreds of meters through the soil. As the ground stayed wet, temperatures dropped, microbes returned, insects flourished, and a fresh layer of humus formed. Researchers at Washington State University recorded a 30 to 50% rise in organic carbon around beaver dams, creating ideal conditions for willows, cottonwoods, and cattails to grow again. For resource managers, the cost comparison was hard to ignore. Okanogan County found that artificial restoration efforts were 40 times more expensive than letting beavers do the work themselves. A single beaver dam that remained stable for 3 years could save farmers between $3,000 and $7,000 each dry season in electricity and irrigation alone. Now scientists are taking things further, studying ways to make beavers return to deadlands supercharge growth, turning lifeless terrain into flourishing land faster than ever before.
NASA's breakthrough. In the Northern Hemisphere, few animals shape their environment as profoundly as the beaver. These industrious architects fell trees, slow rivers, and built wetlands that transform entire landscapes. Their influence is so remarkable that Idaho fish and wildlife biologist Corey Mosby has said he knows of no other species except humans capable of this scale of ecosystem engineering. Mosby has studied beavers for years, and now an unexpected partner has joined the effort. NASA, the same agency that launches astronauts and tracks distant comets, is helping researchers map how beavers reshape the land and how their work could slow climate change. Cynthia Schmidt, Associate Program Manager for NASA's Ecological Conservation Program, explains that satellite Earth observations can guide natural resource management by revealing how rewilding projects restore damaged ecosystems. In partnership with Boise State University professor Jody Brandt, NASA is tracking how reintroduced beavers are transforming Idaho's arid terrain. Satellite images already show a striking pattern. Areas with beaver activity are greener, denser, and more resilient than surrounding landscapes without them. Since joining the project in 2020, NASA has used satellite data to identify habitats suitable for beavers. Remote imagery allows scientists to survey large areas efficiently, work that would be costly and time-consuming on the ground. Before any release, Mosby's team evaluates food availability, year-round water, and sufficient wood for dam building. They screen for disease and invasive species and weigh social factors such as land ownership, water rights, and the risk of flooding crops or infrastructure. Public attitudes vary. Ranchers often welcome beavers for the additional water and improved grazing. Residents in more developed areas are less enthusiastic. Beavers can threaten culverts, bridges, walking paths, and landscaped or commercial zones, prompting calls for removal. Once a site is approved, the team captures and relocates the beavers, letting them reshape the ecosystem naturally. NASA then tracks the transformation from space, revealing which areas retain water, how vegetation rebounds, and the pace of recovery.
NASA research grants support long-term monitoring, reducing the need for constant field work. Beavers are proving to be a natural buffer against climate extremes. A 2018 report by Anna Branch Solutions documented that areas with active dams retained native vegetation while surrounding land burned during the Sharps Fire. By keeping soil moist and lowering ground temperatures, beaver wetlands act as fire breaks. A study in the Journal of Ecological Applications found that during 5 major wildfires over 10 years, areas with beavers lost only 2 to 3% of trees, compared to as much as 60% in areas without them. In some regions, restored wetlands reduced firefighting costs by $15,000 to $25,000 annually. As vegetation returns, tree canopy shades streams, keeping water below the critical 68 degrees Fahrenheit needed for salmon eggs to survive. In these areas, young Chinook salmon became 5 times more abundant, with survival rates rising from 27 to 33%. The porous structure of beaver dams allows fish to swim through easily, navigating gentle flows rather than rigid concrete barriers. Human-built beaver dam analogs in Oregon showed similar results, increasing young steelhead trout survival by over 50%. With water restored and vegetation thriving, wildlife follows. Moose, mink, muskrats, water birds, and native insects return to the riverbanks, rebuilding biodiversity once lost. Beaver dams stabilize wetlands, providing natural flood control, filtering toxins, trapping silt, reducing erosion, and lowering turbidity, conditions essential for aquatic life. Many of these benefits unfold quietly over the years and often go unnoticed without long-term monitoring. Nearly half of North America's endangered and threatened species rely on wetlands, making their restoration critical. A 2012 review of beaver dam impacts on fish habitat across North America found that these structures most often increase habitat diversity, provide crucial rearing and overwintering areas, offer refuge during strong flows, and boost invertebrate populations. The most common drawbacks, restricted movement, silted spawning beds, and low oxygen in deeper ponds, were outweighed by the documented benefits, 184 compared to 119. Beaver dams also function as natural flood control systems.
Their raised structures hold excess water during heavy rains and slowly release it, reducing the height and force of downstream flood waves. Because streams connect directly to the surrounding water table, changes in water level influence groundwater flow. Slower seepage reduces flooding during storms and maintains stream flow during dry spells. Essentially, beaver dams smooth out extremes by expanding saturated areas and storing water underground. These effects are significant in wetlands such as peatlands. By stabilizing water tables, beavers influence both water levels and carbon storage. A 2017 study in a Rocky Mountain peatland found that beaver dams increased groundwater reserves and improved regional water balance, key defenses against drought, and hinted at greater carbon sequestration across the landscape. Beaver ponds also serve as nurseries for salmon and trout. Following the 1818 agreement allowing Americans access to the Columbia watershed, the Hudson's Bay Company exterminated beavers in retaliation. Salmon runs collapsed soon after, even though other environmental conditions remained unchanged. Beaver ponds provide refuge for juvenile salmon, trap nutrients, conserve energy for growth, and maintain clear water, all of which are crucial for salmonid survival. Amphibians thrive too. Frogs and toads benefit from warm, oxygen-rich waters for larval development. A study in Alberta, Canada, found that pitfall traps around beaver ponds captured 5.7 times more wood frogs, 29 times more western toads, and 24 times more boreal chorus frogs than nearby free-flowing streams. Birds also prosper. By encouraging the growth of plants critical to declining songbird populations, beaver dams provide food and shelter, increasing bird diversity. Waterfowl, such as ducks, which depend on standing water, also benefit from the ponds and wetlands created by these ecosystem engineers.
Today, in the Pacific Northwest, restoration efforts have entered a bold new era. Organizations like the Methow Beaver Project and the Beaver Restoration Coalition are no longer just reintroducing beavers to the Methow, Yakima, or Okanagan watersheds. They are integrating the instincts of these ancient engineers with cutting-edge technology. Researchers now employ thermal sensors, soil moisture monitors, and artificial intelligence to track beaver activity. Every dam, every pond, and every altered stream is measured not in isolation, but as part of a dynamic ecosystem. They monitor groundwater levels, observe the return of wading birds, track crop yields, and measure the rate of recovery of riparian forests. In essence, the work of each beaver is no longer hidden. It is quantified, mapped, and celebrated. A 2024 report from the Washington State Department of Ecology highlights the profound impact. Streams with active beaver populations hold 15 to 20% more water during summer, reducing wildfire risk by up to 40%. Aquatic plant diversity doubles in areas with beaver dams, demonstrating how these small architects shape both water and life itself. Looking ahead, Washington plans to restore at least 500 kilometers of headwater streams using what officials call beaver technology. The mission is not purely ecological. Indigenous communities, farmers, and even school children are being trained to participate in this restoration, becoming active partners rather than passive observers. By learning from the beavers, humans are rediscovering an ancient form of landscape stewardship. So, how do these small rodents manage to construct massive river-shaping dams?